I want everybody to think here for a second. How much does this game mean to you? Because if it means something to you, you can't stand still. You understand? You play fast. You play strong. You go out there and dominate the guy you're playing against and make his ass quit. That's our trademark. That's our MO.
9 sacks against Sioux in Nebraska. They haven't given up a sack tonight.
Down toward 3 minutes. Gilbert fumble. Ball's loose. Bama's got it at the 3-yard line. The defense for the Crimson Tide.
Great time to call the blitz. Eryk Anders comes off the left edge of the offense, the blind side. And just when I said they haven't given up a sack, Alabama dials up the blitz, and Anders makes it home, his 6th sack of the year.
Upshaw recovers it. Anders coming in unmolested, and Gilbert never felt it. The young man, by way of San Antonio, Texas, lights up the Longhorns in the final 3 minutes. He's played a brilliant football game.
We're talking with Eryk Anders. You folks know him from the play that you just saw. He key member of the 2009 Crimson Tide National Championship team. And he is our first guest here on the BamaHammer interview. Eryk, really glad to get in touch with you.
Hey, appreciate y'all having me on here.
Listen, we won't focus too much on that, but we got to talk about that play. We've got to talk about your time in Alabama. And now you're a Texas guy, is that right?
Yeah, I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas.
Was that a big transition coming to Tuscaloosa? What was that like for you?
You know, I had a friend, Chris Roberts. You know, he was an Alabama fan. As a matter of fact, he was roommates in college with Bob Conley, who was the offensive line coach at the time, who was one of my assistant coaches in high school. And, you know, after I signed, you know, my scholarship or whatever with Bama, he was just like, Eryk, you don't understand what you're getting yourself into. And I was like, man, what are you talking about? And then he's like, let me show you. And I'm talking about I had signed maybe, you know, I had just gotten off the plane. I guess, you know, the word just got out that I had signed. And he pulled up one of those blog pages, and there was just all this stuff. It's like, man, these people knew more about me than I knew about myself. Oh, you know, the guy from San Antonio, he can run, yada, yada, yada. It's, you know, I was just like, wow, already? And then when I stepped on campus and I started meeting people, it was the same thing. Like, oh, yeah, that guy from San Antonio, from Texas, yada, yada, yada. I was like, wow.
They know their football in Tuscaloosa. That is the truth.
Absolutely.
And no, you know, secret. You were not really highly recruited. You really had to work your way up the ladder, so to speak.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I've always prided myself in being a hard worker, and you know, always want to be the hardest worker on the team. Because, you know, truth be told, I'm not the most talented guy in the world. But at the same time, I feel like having the ability to outwork everybody and want to outwork everybody is a talent in and of itself. So I might not be the biggest, I might not be the strongest, I might not be the fastest, but you're going to get tired at some point.
Yeah, you were one of the few players that sort of bridged the Mike Shula to Nick Saban era and actually, you know, kind of made it through the whole process. Tell us a little bit about what that was like, you know, the differences and the similarities, and why you made it through, whereas some of those players, you know, they didn't make the cut.
You know, Coach Shula really does get a bad rap. You know, everybody says he wasn't a good coach, this and that. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Coach Shula. You know, I would say one thing, he had a harder time than Coach Saban at managing, you know, the players off the field. You know, there were a lot of discipline issues, this, that, and the third, but I like Coach Shula. When Coach Saban came, man, you know, he kind of got a bad rap too. Everybody think, you know, he's just a slave driver and it's all about work, yada, yada, yada. But, when we were sitting in that meeting a couple minutes before the meeting, you would think Coach Saban is stand-up comic. He's in there cracking on players cracking on him. It's all good. It's all good times, but when it's time to work, it's time to work. But, he's really a cool dude off the field.
Well, the players seem to love him, and I think that people who maybe have an opinion of Nick Saban just being the, like you said, the slave driver, beginning to come around to the fact that, hey, this guy is all business, but you can't argue with his success, and I think he's
Right.
sort of learned to maybe show a little bit more of his own personality to either the fans or to the media, and I think that's probably helped his reputation. Of course, winning all those titles helps too.
Yeah, you certainly can't argue with the man's results, but I kind of wish that he wouldn't have that tough guy, hard all the time, persona about him. But that's kind of the way the media portrays him, and he's not really a fan
Yeah.
of the media, so he's kind of, I wouldn't say rude, but he's really short with the media sometimes. That's only because the media, they only like to write about bad stuff, So he
Right, and he refuses to play the game
yeah,
almost. I mean,
absolutely.
listen, before we go any further, let me pay some bills. Okay, look, I know you guys have a Bama room, or you know somebody that does. You know what look great in there? It's a new print from Lisa Brister Portrait Art called The Eyes of a Champion. This print's a beautiful, photorealistic graphite rendering depicting the greatest coach in college football and the champions he leads, and it's got a very cool hidden little detail I want to see if you can spot. To check it out, go to Facebook and search for Lisa Brister Art, Brister. That's the fan page where you can not only order your copy, but just by liking her page, you're going to have a chance to win a free 11 by 14 print. It's available in 3 sizes, and custom framing is available. It's not that tacky junk you see for sale in a Northport gas station. This is one you'll be proud to display in your office or your den or maybe even in your bedroom so you can look at it before you go to sleep. Get over there now and like the page, then buy the print. It's on Facebook at Lisa Brister Art. And I'll tell you what, if you message Lisa and tell her you're part of the BamaHammer Nation, she's going to even take 10% off, just like that. So go to Lisa Brister Art on Facebook and tell her I sent you and get your copy right now. I mean, we got to talk about the play. '09, Rose Bowl, Texas. Obviously, I mean, you can say what you want to about Colt McCoy. He got hurt, and the game is what it is, but they had a chance to win. I mean, they had a chance to drive down the field, win the game. And what was the call? What was the defensive call for that play?
First, I just want to set the record straight. Everybody, especially the people back home, says if Colt McCoy would have stayed in the game, that they would have beat us.
It's not
But
your
the
job.
fact of
It's
the
not your job to keep Colt McCoy in the game, is it?
But this is the fact of the matter. Our whole game plan for Colt McCoy was to not rush him, to just keep him in the pocket and not let him get outside or find seams to run through and make him beat us with his arm, because he's a far more dangerous runner than he was a thrower. So he wasn't going to put up numbers like that. He wasn't going to run all over the place. When he got hurt and Garrett Gilbert came in, we didn't know nothing about Garrett Gilbert. So we, implemented the same game plan, and he was cool with that. He wasn't trying to run. All he wanted to do was stand back there and throw the ball. So, it took us a little while to figure that out. And then, late in that fourth quarter, I forget what the original call was, but, when it come out in that 3-by-1 formation, 3 receivers to the field, and 1 to the boundary, we made a check, and, it kind of threw us off because we weren't expecting it at first. So there's a little confusion on the defensive line. I'm yelling at Marcel to do this, and I lined up out there on that third receiver, and I looked down and looked at offensive tackle, and he was looking down there at Marcel. So I was like, oh my goodness, there's no way he doesn't see me standing right here. And I kind of started cheating in, and he didn't look out. And as soon as that ball was snapped, I just took off. And not very many people noticed, but I thought Garrett Gilbert had threw the ball. Because he gave a little pump fake, but I was just like, well, I'm already here, hell. The next thing I know, I see Courtney Upshaw jump on the ball, and I was like, oh, okay, word.
It was a beautiful play, and I mean,
Yeah.
people across the country and in the stadium were cheering that one on, and that was the first title since 1992. And we can talk about it being a team effort, but without that play, without that sack and that fumble, could have been a completely different result. But you moved on to first a little pro football. Am I right?
Yeah, I got into camp with Cleveland. It moved me from outside linebacker to inside linebacker. And you just got to develop you got to develop all those instincts and play recognition. I guess they didn't think I was doing it fast enough, so I got cut from up there and went to Canada. They can only keep like 10 Americans on every team, so I got cut from up there, played a year of arena ball, and basically just told myself if I couldn't play on the level that I felt that I was capable of playing at, which is the NFL, and I just didn't want to play football no more. And I just took some time off, got bored. I just come home from work and sit at home and twiddle my thumbs. And I ran into a guy by the name of Walt Harris down there in Birmingham. I got became friends with him, and he's a fighter. And he said, "Come on down to the gym," and the rest is history since then.
So you had never really even given it a thought in terms of, well, I want to try the MMA. It was just sort of a, hey, come try this out at the gym situation.
Well, I mean, I wrestled in high school, and I was looking for something to do anyways. I definitely didn't think. I've only been training for about 15 months, and only been fighting for just about 13, 14 months. So I never knew that in that short period of time that I would be 10-2. I mean, I'm still an amateur, but still 10-2 with 3 title belts and 3 different promotions. It's not too shabby.
It's crazy the gold you're racking up. Tell us about the transition from one sport to another. You mentioned wrestling, which obviously you've got the ground game, the athleticism, obviously. Striking was your boxing the part that you had to work on the most, or
Man, my boxing was terrible whenever I had first went up there to Champions Freestyle MMA. Coach John died. He's a stand-up fanatic. And, he's really took my stand-up to a whole nother level that, I never really thought I'd be able to box as well as I am now. Obviously, I'm, still continuing to learn. I'm still relatively new, but, man, I'm telling you, when I first got in there, it was not pretty. I even said to myself, I was like, man, I don't even think I should even worry about this boxing stuff and just try to take all my fights to the ground. But my last few fights, the ground is definitely what I'm more comfortable at, but I feel to be more well-rounded. You kind of got to force yourself to stand up. So my last couple fights, I've kept it standing and, really tried to work on my boxing and stand up striking all around, in the cage. So when I turn pro, when I can't take a guy down or, we just keep it standing, I'll be more comfortable on my feet.
how did that feel winning your first belt?
Oh, I don't know, I can't put it into words, it's, it's, okay, with football, we won a national championship, this, that, and the third, but, Trent Richardson had like 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Mark Ingram had a bunch of yards and 2 touchdowns. It's really a team sport. We train together as a team, as a camp with MMA, but when I step into that cage, it's just me. I can't blame AJ or Greg for throwing an interception or somebody for getting burnt deep if we lose the game. If I lose, that's all on me. If I win, hey.
That's right. It's a completely different mindset. Once they lock that cage door, all that training and everything, you still have to get out and make plays. But there's nobody you can blame it on but yourself at that point.
Absolutely.
So when is your next fight, and do you have an opponent yet?
April 27th, down there in Tuscaloosa. I can't remember my opponent's name, but I know he's a judo guy, and I haven't fought a judo player yet. So it'd be good for me to get the experience, and it'll probably be a tough fight for me. I really don't know too much about the guy. I just know that he's a judo player. So
he's in trouble because he's going up against Mr. Eryk Anders in the home field advantage in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I really don't believe there is such thing as home field advantage or home cage advantage, whatever you want to call it, when another man's, in there throwing punches at you, because it's all loud. It don't matter who they're yelling for,
Yeah, that's true.
I have confidence in myself and everything that I do, so, of course, I feel like I'm going to come out on top.
Of course, we think so too. Listen, fans, his website is erykanders.com. It's ERYKANDERS.com. He is also on Twitter. You're at Eryk Anders, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Certainly, you guys, if you're looking to sponsor Eryk, you can go to his homepage and hit him up there. If you're interested in helping him fund his training, I mean, these guys, he hasn't signed the $1 billion contract. He's not making Brock Lesnar money here. So, he needs nutrition. He needs training. He needs time to work out. All these things, and you guys can help him out. This is a former Tide player. You Crimson Tide fans can go and help him out. Go to erykanders.com. Follow him on Twitter. You can check him out on Facebook. Um, Anything else you want to say to the Tide fans that have, kind of supported you throughout your career?
I just want to say, it's been a pleasure and an honor playing for the Crimson Tide, and I certainly do appreciate how y'all take care and look after and keep up with former players, even after they're done playing. I got buddies who played at other schools who, once you're done, you're done, and they're sad around here. People still keep up with you. I still run into people I don't know. It's like, oh, I've been following your fighting career. I just really appreciate the level of commitment y'all have made to me as a person, as a player, a fighter, and everything that I do.
There you go. You're always part of the Crimson Nation, man. We appreciate you being our debut guest. And if there's anything we can do for you anytime, we really appreciate your support of the website, and we will support you throughout your career.
I appreciate it.
Well, Hammerheads, that ought to do it. We want to thank our guest, Eryk Anders, for coming on the show. We want to thank you for listening. We'll do this again real soon, right here on BamaHammer. Roll Tide, everybody.